Hi everyone, I hope 2023 is treating you very well. It's a little chilly in the studio. I would like to put a jacket on, but they're all dark and it's too dark in here. It's too dark. My beautiful monitor and now the t-shirt. We are back and we are here to talk about the 24-player January training camp. Not many people have said a very positive word about this. If nothing else, it's a distraction, right, from everything that's happening with U.S. soccer. But it turned out to be a very attractive distraction. And we have a roster, first of all, that I guess surprised a lot of people. But I got to tell you, we're so calibrated to disapprove everything about U.S. soccer. We're so calibrated. I understand the disappointment of not qualifying for the World Cup, and we have every right to be angry. But our guard's up all the time. Yeah, we have to understand that U.S. soccer is flawed, but by and large, there's people there that kind of know what they're doing. When they say they're looking at everybody, they're looking at everybody. There's a lot of players slipping through the cracks. There's no doubt about it. We have a lot of work to do there. But of the player base that's out there, they are looking. They're looking. The development obviously comes from the bottom up. Hopefully, we're getting closer to that. And I think we're all pretty excited about the roster that was revealed. I know I am. I would have been excited either way. I think with everything that's happened, we want to see some footy. We want to see the guys come out in U.S. colors. And they will do just that. And we will break that all down here on the Soccer OG. A reminder to check out the Soccer OG podcast. There is a new episode out there. Cannot recommend it highly enough. I am joined by Pablo Mastroeni, former U.S. men's national team player, quarterfinalist in the '02 World Cup, now manager of Real Salt Lake, which is important because they are doing so well at development. Asked him about development, asked him about the current U.S. player pool, asked him about the players that are late bloomers and how we can get that all together. He's a really good guy to talk to, so check that out right now. The Soccer OG podcast, where all podcasts are available, and like and subscribe us here. Let us get into the roster. These are the 24 players that were brought in. 3 goalkeepers, Roman Centantano, who impressed at FC Cincinnati in an emergency role. Young, kind of fits that bill. Now, remember, we're looking at players that can, obviously, that have not gotten a good look up till now. We also have the Under-20 World Cup, which doesn't affect too many players here that would be eligible, but there are a couple. That is May and June in Indonesia. And then the Olympics in Paris in 2024. A lot of players eligible for that. It's not that far away. These are the 24 players getting back to that. Centantano, Sean Johnson, Gaga Slonina, who is with Chelsea now, comes back. Big money. This is a really exciting, expensive. I guess if you want to tell you about the quality of this roster, it's the transfer value of these guys, which is very big when you talk about Slonina, when you talk about Paxton Aronson, when you talk about John Tolkien, when you talk about Cade Cowell. These are guys who are very valuable. Brandon Vasquez, who FC Cincinnati turned down a big offer there. 8 defenders, we'll talk about them. 6 midfielders, so not a lot there. So all these guys should play. 7 forwards, and we'll go category by category. There's a lot of talent here. There may be some that has been a bit depressed lately, deferred, and they might need to get some minutes. We'll see if those guys get a run over 2 games. Remember, here are the games. They will be September. January 25th, taking on Serbia at Bank of California Stadium, and then a few days later, Dignity Health Sports Park against Colombia. Those teams, I haven't got all the information about their roster. Saw the Colombia roster. There's a lot of good players on there playing in Major League Soccer, Mexico, or South America. And there are also, I don't know much about Serbia, but I know Jovic, who plays for the Galaxy, was called in. They'll have a good team. Because remember, you're looking at players that are, if they're still on European break, maybe their clubs will let them out. Germany, the Scandinavian leagues, that's all of them. Out of contract, there's a couple of those here. And then youth players. So you do have a pretty big pick of the players here, not only for the United States, but also for Serbia and Colombia. These are going to be good games. When I spoke to Pablo Mastroeni, who was a beneficiary of the January camp in 2001. That really got him the starting spot in 2002. So he said it was intense, and everyone wants to get a run in here. They know what's coming around the horizon very quickly. Gold Cup, Copa America, all of that is coming thick and fast. And you don't get this many games. You got to take advantage of it. So this was, I think, a roster that everyone was pretty pleased about. You have some of the old guard, but it really is that Olympic level player that I think is the most compelling. I think there are 7 or 8 of them, 8 eligible for the Olympics. Not a big Olympic fan. I've told you that in the past. But with the USA back, I'm obviously going to watch. And with the USA hosting the World Cup, I don't know why I'm whispering. Obviously, the Olympics carries a little more weight. But, I mean, I'm ready to check out the Olympics. It's again, a very flawed tournament, but it's good the U.S. are there, and we'll get these guys some games. And then we can move on. It's a means to an end. Playing in Paris would be very nice. So, the goalkeeper, obviously, this is my... I don't know if I should do this. Let's do the predicted starting 11 a little bit later. But let's get into some of the things that stood out for me. Obviously, the big story here are the dual nationals, of which there are 3. And I think if you get mildly excited about the U.S., if you want to ramp up that excitement, think about what folks are seeing in Mexico. Because they want to get these players. Mexico and the federations of USA and Mexico, I mean, USA is rocketing back. I would pass them. I would say the leagues at Liga MX is, at the very best, is got MLS right on their bumper, but they're ready to make a pass. And I think we're going to see that this year. In Leagues Cup and CONCACAF Champions League, etc. So Mexico's got to be very concerned, right? Because you have Brandon Vasquez. I mean, let's start. Jonathan Gomez, he's not really playing at Real Sociedad, came from the USL, left back, and we need to develop positions there. Jonathan Gomez is a guy that, good ceiling, but we haven't really seen it much. Then you have Brandon Vasquez, who turned down he didn't turn down, but Cincinnati turned down a big move from Chivas. He's a Chivas fan, and the fact that he's here, and again, none of these guys can get cap tied, but Brandon Vasquez, you want to show what it's all about and show how exciting, and you want to tell them that, look, we're going this way, look at Mexico. Now, you might play there, but this is the trajectory we want if you can be part of the team. I'm a big believer in Brandon Vasquez. I think he's going to be on that 2026 World Cup roster. He's just got physical tools across the board that we haven't quite seen all put together. Strength, size, speed. I'm telling you, he's fast, and he's just got a lot going for him. It's going to be very busy. So then you have that, and then you have Alejandro Zendejas, who is tearing it up at Club America. 2 good tournaments in a row. And their season just getting started again. But Mexico could afford maybe losing 1. I mean, Vasquez and Zendejas, these are top tier. Gomez is a project still. We're seeing if he can get there. But Vasquez and Zendejas are guys that might be able to start for one of these national teams very, very soon. So think about that. This is egg on the face of Mexico because the dual nationals are getting a taste in the January window where the Mexican players, they're in the midst of their league. It's something other countries don't have, so you seize it. You grab hold of it. And the U.S. selectors did that. Remember, they have interim coach Anthony Hudson, but let's get these games. Let's get the most out of it. So you got the dual nationals, some really intriguing young players that I like. Obviously, Slonina, we talked about him. Paxton Aronson, I figure he might pop in somewhere in that second game. I don't think he'll start in the first. Hasn't quite started with Eintracht Frankfurt. This is a guy that, based on all reports, is getting off to a great start there. We always heard he's better than his brother. We're about to find out. We don't want to pit brother versus brother, but many feel Paxton's a little more talented. Starting to become one of them. And then you have a Cade Cowell who might be able to get going. Matthew Hoppe, another young player, Olympic eligible. I just want to say something about U.S. soccer because they did him a real solid. I mean, this guy fell off the face of the earth. He was at Schalke, then he went to Mallorca, he played maybe 10 games over 2 complete seasons. Mallorca, and now at Middlesbrough, he's played a handful of games. He has no real reason to be here on form. Granted, he's not playing a lot, and that's what made him available, but U.S. Soccer still doesn't have to pick him. They did. We all know Matthew Hoppe has something. but you still have to prove yourself with your club. I don't know if it has it connected. U.S. Soccer wants to get a long look, and there's another value of this January camp. And Matthew Hoppe is the beneficiary of it. Quite frankly, if I was selecting players, I wouldn't have picked him. Because they call me old-fashioned. But I'm glad he's here. Because it reinforces the importance of this camp where it's exclusively American. It is here as a byproduct of Major League Soccer starting to get some minutes for some guys there. But they've made it, two good opponents, and now they're getting guys from all over to chime in. There were several European. I initially thought it was going to be all MLS. I was dead wrong about that. 7 players based abroad on this team. So U.S. Soccer really went above and beyond to get some guys. Some players that may not be on your radar. You had Emmanuel Sabi, who plays at Odense in Denmark. By the way, Odense, I visited Denmark last June. It's the hometown of Hans Christian Andersen. If you ever go to Tivoli Gardens there in Copenhagen, and you have little Hans Christian Andersen world, it is delightful. He really doesn't deserve to get the call up here, but they're going to give him a shot. I like that, U.S. Soccer. Let's see what you got, because we may not get a shot again. Sam Rogers, Seattle Sounders academy player, plays at Rosenborg. Rosenborg is a big club in Norway. It's a big Scandinavian club, and they're not in season yet. But he has been moving up the pecking order. He is regarded as one of the best players in the Tippelgangen. Is that as I call it, Norway's league? I hope I didn't shoot and miss. I think I did. But there's a guy who benefits from this. The guys like Pablo Mastroeni, who are late bloomers. DeJuan Jones, I want to put a rocket ship on his back. I thought he should have been on that World Cup roster, or at least gotten into the mix a little bit. Forgot to mention Jalen Neal. He's in there. Really good to see all these guys. Alan Sonyoda get us on out of contract. Doing him kind of a solid, because he needs to get shop window games, right? To get here in MLS, which you think is going to be his landing spot. That did a solid for Alan Sonyoda. I want to see Sonyoda play, but where? We don't really have that kind of position designated. He's not going to be a winger, I don't think. More of a central midfielder. Are you going to adjust to accommodate him? If they do, it'd be very cool. But this is U.S. Soccer. Even though Greg Berhalter's not there, it's still his assistant. He's not going to reinvent the wheel for this game. Or is he? So I'm glad. Paxton Pomykal, Eric Williamson, these are guys that went to university. Pomykal not so much, but Williamson and DeJuan Jones are grooming. And there's a lot of guys out there that, Daryl Dike went to university, and now Tejon Buchanan went to Syracuse, then Major League Soccer. Now, DeJuan Jones is, to me, a guy that kind of can as well. So we'll see. John Tolkien, who's from the Red Bulls Academy, we knew he was going to get a shot, but he is already very highly valued. And he's a left back I love him because, while he's not the most exciting fullback going forward, he's okay. He's not crossing the ball. He's a guy that I think there's a space to get minutes on the national team, because defensively, he is rock solid as a fullback. You're not going to... Wan-Bissaka for Manchester United. One of those guys, right? He's not really good going forward, but he doesn't make mistakes on the other side. You kind of like that. Bit of a specialist. So you got those guys that, the late bloomers, we the guys through the cracks, so many different designations of players. Late bloomers are another one that we've got to accommodate, and we certainly were able to do that. We have, Julian Gressel's one of those guys. I was a little surprised by that, but he's going to get in there, and if he's one of the veteran players, it means he's going to play. So I feel very good about this roster. I know many people do. It surprised people when it was unveiled earlier today, but you look at it and go, it checks a lot of things off the list. So well done. And I will be there at the game on the 25th. If you're in the area, get a ticket and go see it. Support the U.S. team. Show that there's interest. I know they've struggled to sell tickets. Get out there on the 25th and the 28th. Sorry, it's so dry. I should have brought up a glass of water. Go out, go to U.S. Soccer, buy a ticket. See your national team, because they're putting on a good roster there. No, Jesus Ferreira, Paul Arriola there. Yeah, it's a mixed bag, a good mixed bag. Jesus Ferreira, I forgot who tweeted it, but I wanted to mention because he gets so much vitriol, and he's 21. All right, did he do great at that World Cup against the Netherlands? No. But don't give up on him. He's 21. The guy scores a ton of goals. I just want to reiterate, whoever tweeted that, and I saw it on a publication. I meant to see it. I don't want to steal your thunder, but I was thinking that too. Just get these kids. We got to support the kids, man. All right, here's my starting 11. That was very abrupt, I know. The starting 11 for me, and I am going to have Gaga Slonina in goal. John Tolkien will be the left back. You're going to stick to the tried and tested. You didn't call him in to sit on the bench. It's going to be Aaron Long. It's going to be Walker Zimmerman. Over on the right back, DeJuan Jones. I love him. I want him to play. I would imagine they are going to be tempted to maybe play Gressel there, but I think it's if you really want to kick the tires on DeJuan Jones, play him in that first game with that senior group and see how it goes. The midfield holding area, it's going to be Kellen Acosta. Same reason Zimmerman and Long are in there. I think Pamikal and Williamson as the dueling eights. This would be a great spot for Alan Sonyota, but I think it's going to be Pamikal and Williamson. I'm really excited about Eric Williamson because he's a multifaceted midfielder, which is exactly on the list of things that we need. And Pamikal, we just haven't seen enough. We all like him in MLS. Now we get a chance to see what he can do. But I think those guys together should be exciting. Although I think Sonyota somehow slips in here as well. Up top, Ariola for the same reason. Acosta, Zimmerman, and Long. Alejandro Zendejas as the right winger. Brandon Vasquez in the middle. That's a squad. That's the starting 11, I would think, for that first game. And we are off and running. 11 first senior call-ups. 13 in their first camp. Training camp begins January the 21st. Games on the 25th and the 28th. Applaud the Federation. They did a nice job here. And enjoy the games. Don't be so angry. I don't know if you're angry, but just let it roll and enjoy the game. So we're going to watch all of it and enjoy it. We'll get back here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. And we will recap the game after the 25th. Have a good one.